Interests are a funny thing, aren't they? Everyone has a media that they like, a movie they adore, a game they love the heck out of, even an artist that they listen to no matter what age. And it's no surprise when I say this, but my own preferred media is animation. I've been a fan of the medium for as far as I could remember, be it show, movie, short film, or web series. But let me ask you a question, an inquiry if you will. As an animation fan, have you ever thought of the people behind these productions? You know, the people who you usually see at the end credits, those parts of the show or movie you usually skip? For the uninitiated, big productions have different processes, such as writers, storyboarders, artists for different parts of the production, basically everyone who's involved in making these episodes you watch. What if I were to tell you that the teams behind these animated properties, different types of people who work together to put pen to tablet and give us these amazing worlds and characters, are treated in the worst way by their employers. Work hours are long, leading to burnout, employees who take on multiple tasks aren't compensated for it, animators not being paid the same as live action writers, low vacation days, tight deadlines. These issues and many more plague the animation industry today. So essentially,
animation is so hard! People who do this for a living deserve more credit and respect!
the only difference now is that it's finally become a large enough issue with modern productions that animators decide to speak out about it. And that brings us to now.
We make whole worlds from nothing! We've built the most powerful, profitable companies in the history of entertainment!
New deal for animation, Payanimationwriters, StorycraftUnite. If you've been in the animation space on social media within the past few months or so, you may or may not have noticed a rise in people passionate about the medium and coming together to support these movements. Signing petitions, spreading the word, and getting more people on their side. It's definitely had its effect, having its first of many rallies behind it. Major players in the game such as Craig McCracken and Dana Terrace speaking out publicly about the deal. But what specifically about this deal could be so important, you might ask? Probably the most notable one would be payment. Research has shown that animators aren't paid the same as other positions within the entertainment industry. For example, a writer for an animated series, especially for a top-shelf network, would be paid way less than a person writing for a sitcom. This has been an occurrence time and time again, where if a writer tries to negotiate a pay bump, they get denied despite competing with guys who, let's be honest here, most likely know little to nothing about the animation industry or the animation process. People who work in the field already sacrifice a lot going into it as a career, a lot of the time having to move and live near the production to work closely with the team. But for whatever reason, they're treated like second-class citizens. And I'm not just talking about the writing process either. Storyboarders work long months making each episode, multiple re-edits, designing characters and backgrounds, going through burnout, worrying about their jobs, and it's simply all just not fair. The scummy acts of these companies don't end there either. Nowadays, series aren't even split into normal seasons, instead having the companies that own them being part of completely different distributions, where one 10 or so episode season is labeled as Season 1, while the other is dropped as what's supposed to be something completely different. The biggest cause of this seems to be Netflix and especially Disney, who while they have announced new seasons of the Cuphead show and Proud Family Louder and Prouder, have gotten major backlash from fans and even the crew for not airing these the way they were intended to. Unfortunately, not only is this an issue for the entire animation team, but for voice actors as well. The realm of giving a performance only using your voice has been cherished for a long time, but as the practice has gone on with stuff like celebrity casting, it's definitely had no shortage of scummy tactics in animation. Voice actors are more or less treated like dirt in this industry, constantly being given compensation that's just too low for voicing multiple characters, being paid the same for multiple characters' voices for long hours, and the end result isn't even enough to provide for themselves, let alone families. The voice of Kawaki from Boruto came out about this a while back, and even though it's not necessarily American animation related, there's a good point to be made here.
For those not in the know, Funimation has a long history of exploitative tier pay for anime actors, starting out at only $35 an hour without session minimums. With this merger, there is zero excuse to continue this shameful practice. Pay your actors! After they make you do hundreds of hours of dubbing, voila, usually the most strenuous and difficult kinds of sessions, then you graduate to $50, while big name actors, or LA actors, start at $75 an hour, like me. Every actor deserves to start at the top. Same rate for same work, period. Also, they combine multiple shows into one session so they can justify paying less. Normally, different show equals different session fee. Funimation might make you do bits for 3 shows in 2 hours, so even if you get the $75 hourly, rather than $450 2 hours min, they can pay you $150. Probably gonna get blacklisted for this, lol. I don't give a fuck. Pay your actors. Anime is exploitative from the top to the bottom. Animators, artists, actors, Japanese, English, nobody makes what they should, given that anime is a $25 billion business now, except executives.
This is why I consider events like Bendergate a step in the right direction. For those not in the know, the series Futurama was announced to have a new season with many of the original voice cast returning, every one of them except John DiMaggio, who instead of returning went on strike and refused to return until he and his castmates got compensated fairly for the gig. And apparently there's talks of setting proper payments for the series, which is definitely something a lot more shows should be doing. While all of these are maybe any minor issues to the uninitiated, together they can lead to a nightmare of a production. Want to know how I know this to be true? Well, viewer, let me introduce you to a little show called High Guardian Spice. From the moment it was even announced, it got backlash. Video after video made to simply dunk on this innocent and harmless magic-based series, and all because it was on an anime-centric app, and all the while having the worst conditions for a series to be produced under. Even the creator himself speaking out about the production during the show's run.
High Guardian Spice had a very small budget. We were the first show of a non-Udian studio. If you're mad at the animation quality, it was the budget. VG art? Budget. Writing? Budget. We literally started storyboarding the first episode before the first script was finished. So when we inevitably ran into problems, all productions do, we didn't have the time or money to slow down and fix them. We had to barrel forward and make do with what we had. People compare High Guardian Spice to anime because it's on Crunchyroll, but it isn't anime. It's a cartoon made with the same pipeline as any other American cartoon. Our budget was comparable to a Cartoon Network show, which usually are 11 minutes long, and are comedy-centered and have much simpler backgrounds and characters. Really, the best show to compare High Guardian Spice to is Onyx Equinox, our sister show, and the only other show made at the same studio as High Guardian Spice. Onyx Equinox had the advantage of learning from mistakes on High Guardian Spice and being Union. It was a lot of the same team and same pipeline. What we were trying to make was incredibly ambitious for what we were working with, and we did the best we could. Maybe in another timeline, High Guardian Spice would have gotten the budget and schedule it needed to reach its full potential. And also in another timeline, maybe High Guardian Spice wouldn't have been roped into the culture wars from its first trailer and marked as bad years before it came out. But alas, this is the timeline we're in, and all I can do is shout about it on Twitter. Instead of piling onto the High Guardian Spice's trash campaign, maybe think about what happened behind the scenes to make it that way, have empathy for the real human beings who did their best working on it, and think critically about who started this hate campaign in the first place.
I feel like what's the most painful fact to accept is that animation just isn't respected, not by just the people who watch over it, but the entertainment industry as a whole. In fact, it's been like this for the longest time. People everywhere have been given this mindset that animation is just for kids, stories that are being made with boatloads of love, affection, and effort, real blood, sweat, and tears put into every frame, while the industry just completely craps on it. Just look at the Oscar speech presenting the award for this very year.
So many kids watch these movies over and over and over and over and over and over and over.
I see some parents out there know exactly what we're talking about.
It's not even just award shows. It's sadly even trickled down to the process itself being heavily monitored, as Craig McCracken has mentioned not too long ago.
No, we had really amazing executives on Powerpuff Girls who trusted us to make the show the way we wanted. I found out years later that oftentimes standards and practices would have notes on the show that our executives would ignore and never send to us.
And honestly, it's just sad to see an industry fall from grace this way, from being a creative new outlet to just being seen as a lower entertainment form just based on the practices that studios used in the past. If there's one glimmer of hope, it's definitely for the future. While at the time of recording this, TV and film deals are still up to mystery, the new age of the internet has brought along a cavalcade of new animation. Hungry creators, both old and new, giving premium animation in spades. I honestly believe wholeheartedly that this is a new frontier for the medium. Not as a whole, that's a fool's errand, but as a new area of entertainment, even if it has come with its fair share of mess-ups in the past. Its highs more than make up for it, so this might very well be something to observe for the future. As a lot of you may or may not know, with this new deal for animation, there has been a big push on social media from people from the industry itself openly dunking on the cartoon community. I don't speak for the entire community when I say this, but we're not your enemy. This community is filled to the brim of people who are passionate about the medium, who spend their time talking about everything good about it. Yes, we do have bad eggs, that's undeniable, but let me ask you something. How many people in this community are like Clownfish TV or Mr. Enter? Now how many aren't like them? I can guarantee that I can name a few. Artiste TB, Manuel D, Ramen's Retrospective, Hats Off Media, Andrew IG, Smeef, Team Creed for Life, and of course, we have the more recognizable faces, Toon Rafik Tariq, Man of a Thousand Thoughts, Review Your Life, Veritas Joe, Harry on a Hook, Offbeat Kiki, and many more. And as much as some people don't want to admit it, both the community and the industry work almost in tandem. With each new big series, whether on TV or streaming, a lot of the people who make videos on these shows assist in helping boost its popularity. Not saying it's something to be grateful for, but at least acknowledge. And I feel like I shouldn't be the one to point this out, but I have to at this point. Cartoon Twitter is not the same as the cartoon community. They're the creators, the people who offer legitimate criticism for these properties without tearing down the people behind the show. In my honest opinion, they don't ruin these shows, but legitimize them. There are negative critics out there, for sure, don't get me wrong, but do the amount of blank as garbage and here's why posts really destroy the community's reputation for you? Think about it. Look, I know I'm not saying anything new here. There are tons of people who will or are gonna do the same thing that I did and tell you about these deals and what's going on, and somehow get more of a reach. But I didn't do this for notoriety or reach. So then why did I make it? Because I just plain love the medium. Animation will forever remain my first love. It's stuck with me longer than any other type of medium. It's rooted in some of my best memories. From watching Who Shot Mr. Burns with my dad, to experiencing the start of a new decade of animation with the premiere of Adventure Time. It's been with me through the thick and thin of life, and I just can't stop myself from loving it. Hell, it's even rooted in this YouTube channel. I started uploading content in July of 2019. Sure, my first videos were embarrassing beyond belief and terribly made, but they were made with nothing but love for the medium. And to see the industry and the people behind amazing, world-changing shows be treated like just a machine for these companies to make money from, it's soul-crushing. And so it's up to us, the viewers, the critics, the fans of series both old and new, the creators of these phenomenal shows. We can change things. In this fight, there are no individuals, groups, or teams. We are all just one collective, everyone doing their part to make the people who make these shows and films lives better, all for a better future for the industry. So, what are you waiting for? Hey there, thanks so much for watching this video. I just want to point out that none of this would have been possible without the amazing team I had backing me up. While most of the writing, recording, and editing was done by yours truly, I want to thank Artiste TB and Kira Nemi for help proofreading the script and making sure of my research. But that's not all. I'd also like to thank Kira Rafik, Incog M, and Cartoonchi for offering their voices for the social media bits within this video. Without their help, this wouldn't have been as fun or enjoyable to make, so I'll be leaving all their social medias below. As well as that, I'll also be leaving a link below where you can find a petition to help show your support for these deals that I mentioned. Thank you so much for watching, and keep an eye out for further content down the line. See ya!